Smoke, dust, the acrid smell of explosives. This is the daily reality for millions in Gaza. Trapped in a cycle of violence, they cling to hope, however fleeting. Recent days had offered a glimmer, a whisper of possibility that some might escape the nightmare. That hope was brutally extinguished. Israel confirmed the deaths of 4 hostages held in Gaza. The news, delivered with the cold finality of a military communiqué, sent shockwaves of grief and anger across the region. Families waiting with bated breath, clinging to the hope of a reunion, were left grappling with unimaginable loss. The fragile threads of hope, painstakingly woven over weeks of agonizing uncertainty, were severed. The conflict, reignited by a brutal attack on Israeli civilians, had spiraled into a maelstrom of retaliatory strikes and escalating violence. Each day brought news of more casualties, more destruction, pushing the dream of peace further into the shadows. The hostages, their fates unknown, became a focal point, a symbol of the human cost of this intractable conflict. Their deaths, a stark reminder of the fragility of life in a war zone. If you want to stay updated on this and other important stories, please subscribe to our channel. Across Israel, a nation mourned. Flags flew at half-mast, a somber testament to the collective grief. The 4 individuals, snatched from their lives, became tragic symbols of a conflict that has claimed far too many. Their stories, fragments of lives lived and lost, resonated across a nation grappling with the weight of loss. The names, released with heavy hearts by authorities, became etched in the national consciousness. Each name carried a story, a family shattered, a future unwritten. The young student, brimming with potential, his dreams cut short. The father, separated from his loved ones, his absence leaving an unfillable void. The weight of their loss pressed down, a heavy shroud of sorrow blanketing the nation. News channels, their broadcasts typically filled with the clamor of political punditry, fell silent. Replaced by solemn pronouncements, heartfelt tributes, and the raw, unfiltered grief of families shattered, the nation paused, united in mourning, grappling with the agonizing reality of lives lost, futures stolen. Yet beneath the shared grief simmered a potent mix of anger and resolve. The conflict, always simmering beneath the surface, had once again exacted a terrible toll. The names etched in the collective memory of a nation were more than just headlines. They were sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, friends and colleagues. Their stories, fragments of lives lived and lost, offer a poignant glimpse into the human toll of this intractable conflict. Yaakov, the aspiring musician, dreamt of performing on a global stage, his music a bridge between cultures. His melodies, once full of hope and promise, now serve as a haunting reminder of a life cut short. Sarah, the dedicated teacher, believed in the power of education to transform lives. Her classroom, once a sanctuary of learning and laughter, now stands empty, a testament to the devastating impact of violence. David, the loving father, worked tirelessly to provide for his family, his days filled with the simple joys of fatherhood. The image of him playing with his children, their laughter echoing through the house, now a heart-wrenching memory. Rachel, the devoted daughter, was the heart and soul of her family, her infectious laughter and unwavering optimism a beacon of light. Her absence leaves an unfillable void, a constant reminder of the preciousness of life and the devastating consequences of hate. The news of the hostages' death sent shockwaves far beyond the borders of Israel, rippling through the corridors of power and igniting a firestorm of condemnation. World leaders, their words often hollow in the face of such tragedy, offered condolences and called for restraint. The fragile peace, negotiated with painstaking effort, teetered on the brink. The international community, long accustomed to the cyclical nature of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, found itself grappling with a renewed sense of urgency. The deaths of the hostages, a stark reminder of the human cost of this intractable conflict, served as a catalyst for a fresh round of diplomatic efforts. Envoys shuttled between capitals, their meetings shrouded in secrecy, the weight of expectation heavy on their shoulders. Within Israel, the political landscape, always fraught with tension,
became even more polarized. Hardliners, their voices amplified by the escalating violence, demanded a forceful response. Calls for retaliation, for retribution, echoed through the halls of power, threatening to derail any hopes of a negotiated settlement. Moderates, their voices often drowned out in the clamor for action, urged restraint, cautioning against further escalation. They argued for a measured response, one that acknowledged the pain and anger of the nation while leaving open the possibility of dialogue.
In the aftermath of such tragedy, it's easy to succumb to despair, to allow anger and hatred to cloud our judgment. Yet, as we mourn the loss of these innocent lives, we must resist the urge to retreat into our respective corners, to view the conflict solely through the prism of our own pain. Now, more than ever, we need empathy. We need to see beyond the headlines, beyond the political posturing, and recognize the shared humanity that binds us. The families in Gaza and Israel, united in grief, are a stark reminder that war leaves no victors, only victims. The cycle of violence, fueled by decades of mistrust and animosity, will only perpetuate the suffering. It's time to break free from this destructive cycle and seek a different path, one paved with dialogue, understanding, and a shared commitment to peace. Let the memory of those we have lost serve as a catalyst for change. Let their stories remind us of the fragility of peace and the urgent need to bridge the divides that separate us. The path forward will be arduous, fraught with challenges and setbacks, but the alternative, a future consumed by violence and despair, is simply unacceptable. Let us honor the memory of those we have lost by choosing hope over hatred, dialogue over destruction, and by working tirelessly to build a future where such tragedies are consigned to the history books. Thank you for watching and supporting our channel. Your engagement means the world to us. If you haven't already, please subscribe and join us in our journey towards a more informed and compassionate world. Until next time on NetScoop.